Are you throwing away your hard-earned money on fancy potted plants or chemical fertilizers, while the real treasure is sitting right in your trash can? Back in the day, my grandmother never bought a thing. She had a way of talking to nature using nothing but household scraps. Today, I'm going to reveal 20 gardening secrets passed down from our grandparents' generation, ranging from using a simple diaper to keep your plants lush and green, to a rather peculiar toothbrush trick. And you'll definitely want to stay tuned for secret number 20 at the very end of the video. It's a game changer that will make you never look at your garden the same way again. Let's get started with this old milk jug right here. Tip 1. Mini greenhouses, the old milk jug. You see, in Grandma's world, there was no such thing as trash, especially not those opaque 1-gallon plastic milk jugs. Grandma used to say that a young sprout is just like a child stepping out into a cold wind for the first time. It needs to be shielded, rather than forced to fight the elements all at once. By simply cutting the jug in half and gently placing it over your plant, you've given it a warm, protective cocoon. Those tiny droplets of condensation inside that cheap plastic jug are actually a professional-grade greenhouse, trapping every bit of warmth so that fragile life can stand firm against Mother Nature. That was the first lesson in care. It doesn't have to be fancy. Sometimes the best protection comes from the humblest items right in your kitchen. But protection from above wasn't enough. Grandma also had a way of outsmarting the laws of nature, teaching plants to grow in a way that challenged gravity. Tip 2. Upside-down planters, 2L soda bottles. Don't be so quick to toss those post-party soda bottles into the recycling bin, because they're the start of a vibrant hanging garden. By cutting off the bottoms and hanging them upside down, Grandma transformed cramped vertical spaces into a home for tomatoes or strawberries. This wasn't just about saving space. It was a clever strategy to avoid ground-dwelling caterpillars and let water flow evenly from roots to tip. Seeing those ripe fruits dangling in mid-air reminds me of how our grandparents managed with so little. They never complained about the lack of space. They simply changed their perspective to find a new opportunity. This solved the space issue, but it created a challenge with watering during the scorching sun. Luckily, Grandma had a silent butler who could look after the plants all day with nothing more than a tiny bottle cap. Tip 3. Slow drip irrigation. The perforated plastic bottle. When gardening in pots, the biggest fear is the soil drying out and exhausting the plant. Grandma's secret was a small plastic bottle with tiny holes poked into the cap, buried upside down next to the roots. The water doesn't just rush out and disappear, it seeps out drop by drop, steady and quiet, much like Grandma's love, nourishing the deep roots below without wasting a single precious drop. Tip 4. Seedling starter kits, plastic egg cartons. Before the plants are big enough, they begin their journey in clear plastic egg cartons. Each little cell is a safe private room where seeds can sprout in peace without being disturbed. The plastic lid on top holds the perfect amount of moisture, creating a quiet sanctuary for those first green shoots to wake up. Tip 5. Milk carton planters paper cartons. Even old paper milk cartons have their own mission, thanks to that thin aluminum lining that provides excellent insulation for the roots. Grandma would plant directly into them, and when the plant was large enough, she'd put the whole carton into the ground. The paper would naturally decompose into nutrients, a cycle Grandma taught me: take from nature and return it to nature in the kindest way possible. Tip 6. Plant labels, detergent bottle caps. To make sure she never forgot the names of her herbs, Grandma repurposed the bright, colorful caps from laundry detergent bottles. By cutting them down and writing the names on them, you get labels that will never rot in the rain or sun, bringing a touch of nostalgic beauty to the balcony. Tip 7. The garden scoop detergent jugs. Finally, there's the garden scoop, cleverly cut from an old detergent jug with its sturdy handle still attached. It's a perfect fit, lightweight and incredibly durable for high-rise gardening. Plastic protects the sprouts, but in tip 14, I'll show you how to turn an old item from your closet into a shield for your hands. But first, let's see how Grandma brought a whole forest of herbs onto her walls using nothing but an old over-the-door shoe organizer. Tip 8. Vertical gardens, the old shoe organizer. Step into any old storage closet and you're bound to find one of those faded over-the-door shoe organizers, once home to shoes covered in the dust of time. Don't toss them out. My grandmother turned those pockets into individual apartments for basil and mint. When hung up, each little pouch instantly transforms a cramped balcony into a lush green wall, releasing a gentle herbal fragrance with every passing breeze. It's how our grandparents taught us to cherish every inch of space, bringing nature into the home and turning mundane objects into the very breath of life. Tip 9. Garden trellises old bed frames. A rusty iron bed frame or an old wooden headboard doesn't have to end its life at the junkyard. When you prop it up on a terrace, it becomes a sturdy trellis, ready to support the soft vines of pole beans or jasmine. The ruggedness of the old metal, combined with the vibrant life of the climbing plants, creates a captivating vintage charm. Looking at it, you see the bridge between past and present, where old things continue to serve and nurture new life. Tip 10. Nostalgic tins coffee and cookie tins. Those old tin containers that once held coffee or butter cookies always carry the warmth of cozy family memories. When you plant bright, tiny flowers in them, the contrast between the fresh blooms and the weathered tin turns your balcony corner into a scene from a classic movie. Each of these tin planters is a story, a memory anchor that drifts us back to those peaceful afternoons of tea and treats on the front porch. Tip 11. The potting bench shipping pallets. Old wooden pallets, when stacked cleverly, become a professional workstation for any gardener. This isn't just a place to prune leaves or repot plants, it's a stage to display your green achievements. It's a place that holds patience and quiet moments, helping us find balance amidst the hustle and bustle of modern life. Tip 12. The watering can old milk powder tins. Do you remember those old powdered milk tins? By simply punching tiny holes into the lid, you've created the gentlest shower watering can in the world. The water sprays out as soft as a morning mist, ensuring it won't wash away the soil or hurt delicate young seedlings. This is a lesson in finesse we learn from Grandma's skillful hands, always nurturing life with the utmost tenderness. Tip 13. Tire planters growing potatoes. Old tires, when given a fresh coat of soft pastel paint, suddenly become creative potato planters for your rooftop. Stack them up, and when harvest time comes, you simply lift each tire layer to reveal clean, homegrown potatoes. It's a testament to the wisdom of the generations before us, always finding an artistic way to farm, even in the heart of the city. Tip 14. Protective sleeves old socks. To protect your arms from those sharp rose thorns, don't overlook your old, worn-out tube socks. Just snip off the toes and slide them over your forearms. You've got yourself a soft set of armor, making garden chores safer and more comfortable than ever. Now that we have the skeleton of our garden, the biggest question remains, how do we feed these plants without reaching for chemicals? The answer isn't found at the hardware store, it's right there on Grandma's dinner table. Tip 14. Protective sleeves old socks. To protect your arms from those sharp rose thorns, don't overlook your old, worn-out tube socks. Just snip off the toes and slide them over your forearms. You've got yourself a soft set of armor, making garden chores safer and more comfortable than ever. Now that we have the skeleton of our garden, the biggest question remains, how do we feed these plants without reaching for chemicals? The answer isn't found at the hardware store, it's right there on Grandma's dinner table. Tip 15. Vegetable water liquid vitamins. In Grandma's kitchen, nothing was ever considered waste, especially not the liquid gold we so often mindlessly pour down the drain after dinner. Once cooled, the water used to boil your vegetables is actually a potent multivitamin, packed with essential minerals extracted straight from the earth. Grandma would water her plants with it once a week, and like magic, the foliage would turn a deep, vibrant green, and stems would grow sturdy, as if infused with a new lease on life. This wasn't just a gardening trick, it was her way of teaching us gratitude, returning to the earth the very essence it gave to us. Tip 16. Coffee grounds soil structure. Your morning cup of coffee doesn't just wake up your mind, it leaves behind a priceless treasure for your balcony pots. Don't be so quick to toss those grounds. They are the key to keeping your soil fluffy, well-drained, and perfectly hydrated. With their natural, mild acidity, coffee grounds are the gift that diva, flowers like roses or jasmine crave to put on their most brilliant display. Tip 17. Banana peel tea potassium for blooms. If there's a superfood, specifically for the blooming season, it's undoubtedly banana peels. Grandma would collect the peels and soak them in water for a few days to extract a rich source of potassium. This nutrient-dense tea encourages flower buds to burst into bloom, serving as a powerful reminder of the hidden strength within things we often throw away. Banana peels can make your flowers dazzling, but if you want your tomatoes to taste as sweet as candy without a single grain of sugar, there's a humble white powder in your pantry that will do the trick. Tip 18. Baking soda sweet tomatoes. The secret lies in a light dusting of baking soda around the base of the plant. Grandma told me it helps neutralize the soil's acidity, which in turn awakens a refined, rich sweetness in every slice of the fruit. Biting into a tomato, Grandma's way brings back the flavor of those sun-drenched summers of long ago. Tip 19. Beer the snail trap. To deal with destructive snails without resorting to harsh chemicals, Grandma used nothing more than a little leftover beer in a shallow dish. That distinct yeasty aroma lures them into a final feast, keeping your lush green leaves intact and safe. Tip 20. Soap and cooking oil organic pesticide. Instead of using spray bottles filled with pungent chemicals, Grandma relied on a diluted mixture of dish soap and cooking oil. It creates an invisible, yet highly effective protective film that thwarts insect attacks, all while ensuring the air on your small balcony remains fresh and safe for your family. These 20 secrets aren't really about saving a few pennies or simply recycling some old plastic bottles. They are the silent lessons our grandparents left behind about gratitude, the art of seeing a life waiting to bloom inside things the world has cast aside. Your little balcony garden is no longer just a collection of plants. It's a sanctuary of memories, wisdom, and boundless love. So pick up that old milk jug and start planting today. If walking down this memory lane with me has warmed your heart, please subscribe to the channel. Together, we can keep these timeless green values alive, ensuring they never fade away for generations to come.